think our things are correctable, and we're looking forward to training this week and then getting after, like I said, a good, well-coached Northwestern team.
Thank you. Hey, Coach. Understanding that the wins and losses matter most, but with this young team, how would you say you feel about where you are at this point of the season with them coming on board and being able to relate to what's going on, and more so than you expected, maybe some things you can work on? Where would you say you're at right now?
You know, I think our overall body of work's good. I think we were capable of having maybe another win or two. You know, if we could have been, we're 5-5 right now. I'd take 7-3. There's just a couple games I think we could have had back, but we've been better. But I think we do have some good youth, and they've been bright, and they're learning what it takes to win in these Big Ten games. And sometimes that takes a mistake or two, and in soccer it's costly because one or two mistakes and that can be the difference in a game. So.
Richie's been playing really well the last couple of weeks, got a couple of goals. What, I guess, have you seen that's allowed him to start to take kind of the next step in his junior year here?
Yeah, it's been really fun to watch Richie. Probably over the last 5 games, he's really flipped it. We've really just tried to push him to be aggressive, take people on, have the responsibility of scoring and winning games for us because we know he has that in him. What's really great about Richie too is he plays both sides of the ball. Not only is he starting to score for us, but he's also defending, and he's growing as a leader too. I think people respond to him, and so we've been extremely pleased with how he's played, and we're going to need him to continue to play here as we get a good stretch going in the Big Ten.
And I guess looking ahead, what are the biggest things that you feel like need to happen for you guys to reach your goal of getting back to the NCAA tournament?
Yeah, we have to be better defending in the box. It's just been like 3 or 4 plays. We've looked at it. It's not a tactical thing. It's a little bit more of an organization and communication thing. And we're going to go back and film here at 1 o'clock and really hammer that home. And then obviously our goal is to try to score 2+ goals a game. And we've only been shut out once this year, you know, but we want to try to, for the chances that we got, we'd like to be able to put another 1 or 2 in. So it's really just those ends of the field. We've been really good from 18 to 18, but unfortunately that doesn't always guarantee you wins.
Damon, do you have a sense of what it'll take to get in the tournament? I mean, you got a stretch here, like RPI-wise, where it's a little more manageable, and then at the end, Rutgers, Maryland, you know, there's some real opportunities for quality results there. What will it take to get in, do you think?
I think we just need wins. And what I say by that is I think our strength of schedule will be good. It's at about 66. We already have 2 quad 1 wins with Indiana and Michigan. I think those guys will probably stay there. We'll have the opportunities against a good Rutgers and Maryland team. So I think right now we just got to stack some wins. I think if we can get to 9 wins, if we can go 4-2 in these last 6 games or better, then I think you got a chance. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Same rhythm here. After watching the tape, kind of recapping some things. Obviously, we'll start on special teams. A lot that hurt us in that game. You think about punt. Obviously, you give up a punt block for a touchdown. It's can be tough to overcome. And so you look at it. We misidentification really out of 3 guys. And so if 3 guys are misidentified, that starts with our preparation as coaches. Schematically, we got to look at some things. Didn't probably emphasize on the road crowd noise on a punt play when you got a lack of communication that way. So that hurt. And then it continued on the punt side in the coverage aspect. And so there's a couple things that go with that. One is that when you get it protected, now you kick it, the placement. And that's, we got a big time punter and he's got a big time leg. And this old adage of kind of out kicking your coverage. Well, yeah, he kicks it deep, but also the placement of it. We got to get it closer to the sideline to use the sideline as help in coverage. At the same time, wherever he kicks the thing, we got to be able to cover better than we did. Out of a lane or two, good athlete returning it, but that did not help us. You think about field position throughout, that was a problem. So we got to get better there, which had been a strength for us. Let's face it, first 4 games, punt unit had been a strength, was not last Saturday. Kickoff return, we got the unfortunate one, the ball. We got to be able to field the ball. They're kicking off to us. However, the wind made it tough. The communication between the 2, got deep trust in the 2 that are trying to field it. They got to communicate better. But that was a huge momentum play for them in regards to the thing. They came back. We took the lead, came back. The game's tied, and they get the ball up with an extra possession. So special teams-wise, a lot to clean up that we need to do, especially when you play on the road. We got to have better play out of special teams units. Offensively, I think I mentioned it after the game too, you start with this 2 of 14 on 3rd down. All right, so 1, that's a terrible percentage. That's too many 3rd downs in general. Well, what's leading into that? Your 1st and 2nd down efficiencies, lack of run game efficiency really throughout. We got to do it better. We got to think about doing other things too, right? We sit here and, well, the players got to execute a run game better. Well, we got to start making sure too on us, on coaching side, schematics, those things, and that was some deep conversations yesterday as you looked into it. Pass protection, I felt during the game, it showed up being worse than it was on the film. We got to get a cleaner pocket for them. Again, it's 11-man football offensively, eyes, wind, yeah, a factor at times. They made a couple more throws into the wind than we did. I think that was a separator too, but offensively, not good enough. Give those guys some credit. When we had to have it, aggressive style in the 4th down thing, we did execute in the 3rd quarter to take the lead with that, but not enough in the 4th. Defensively, you liked a couple of things about defensively. One, just overall, from the SC game where we flat out weren't good enough defensively, come to this game, those guys responded. I thought they played with a response, aggressive mindset. You even look at what the situations the defense was put into the games with regards to field position. I think they had 5 or 6 possessions started on their own side of the 50, and the defense bowed up multiple times. I think looking holistically at halftime, things 14-7. We're probably forcing it to be 14-7 the way the first half it played, and then you take the lead toward the end of the 3rd quarter. So I think the team continues to show some resilience, but it's back-to-back weeks where we got to finish in the 4th quarter better. Back-to-back games had opportunities to finish thing in the 4th quarter, and we got outplayed, outcoached in the 4th. And so we got another opportunity to do it better and do it back at home. Excited about that, homecoming. Anxious to get back around our home crowd. I know our guys will be raring to go this Saturday, and we're going to need to. You talk about playing an opponent, UCLA, who had maybe the biggest win of the college football year this last Saturday, and they played that way. They were galvanized. What they showed on that game against Penn State was impressive. I think the quarterback, highly touted, good player, 5-star, he played like it this last Saturday, and so they got our full attention that way with what he can do. That offense is galvanized and going. They scored a bunch of points against a really, really good team, played some defense. They got a bunch of respect for how getting a win like that this last weekend. Questions?
Jonathan, I was wondering, it was the first time we saw Aiden struggle this season, really, and what would you see on the film, and what were the conversations you've had with him since the game as far as what transpired and how to clean that up? Yeah,
I think, we need to play better. He wanted to play better. He's competitive. We need to continue to help him. I think about the factors of protection, the lack of the run game, some of the down to distances we in. He did come back and have a couple of plays in that game that reminded us some of last year in regards to maybe doing too much, movement within the pocket, moving his eyes a couple of times where he needed to trust that protection. And so, again, he needs to go back to work. We need to continue to surround him. We got to play better around him. But there were some signs of last week that were frustrating.
Hey, Jonathan, in your postgame, you emphasize finding a way to win. In your experience, what foundational principles will remain the same, but what are some of the things, maybe based on personnel too, and what happened that you may be open to, quote unquote, looking at, changing, tweaking, et cetera?
I think we're always looking week to week on what we learned from the previous game and wanting to do it better or get it fixed or do it differently. So that approach isn't totally different from just because of the outcome this last week versus call it week one. I do think, looking at 2 games on the road, the ability to finish in the 4th, we got to find a way to do it better because we've done it at home. I call out Boston College going to double overtime. We found a way to finish there. So we've done it before. I think about the previous 2 being on the road, we got to do it on the road.
Jonathan, I'm curious with the maybe visceral reaction to wins and losses these days. It seems like every win and loss is put under such a microscope. Do you feel that as a coach? And if so, how do you deal with that in today's day and age?
Yeah, you feel it as a coach, and you try to actually avoid, when you win, of glossing over of things. I think about our punt thing, right? After 4 weeks, we had a bye. Oh, this is one of the strengths. This has been a weapon for us, all these kind of things. Well, we got exposed in the 5th game. And so as a coach, I think you're always urgent to find ways to improve, making sure you don't got flaws that you don't recognize that your opponent does, whether you win or lose.
And then with the 4th quarter kind of issues, is winning in those moments learned, or is that something that players have to maybe get more experience facing before they can pull that together, or what are the sorts of pieces that are missing?
Yeah, I think we're experienced the wrong side of it for back-to-back games here. Again, I think you learn it from experience. And again, this doesn't mean all of a sudden I got to put on my Superman cape in the 4th and do something dramatically different than the way you prepared. It comes down to a team seizing the momentum, keeping it in the 4th, and we haven't done it in back-to-back weeks.
Jonathan, you mentioned the special team struggles against Nebraska. What adjustments do you need to make against UCLA to clean those up?
Well, just to think about specifically to the punt side of it, one which starts with our protection, communication, and we're making sound protection of getting the ball thing kicked. Once it's kicked, we got to place it with some accuracy, right? The placement of a punt, especially with the type of leg Eckley has. It's a big-time leg. That's an important part. And then coveraging, staying in your lanes, getting off blocks, staying in your lanes so that we can round up oftentimes the best athlete on their team they put back there as a punt returner. All those things play into it.
2 separate things here. First, when you look at where UCLA is right now, how much does your prep for them in the off season and in the last couple of weeks, how much does that kind of go out the window when you have a new head coach and maybe some new things and wrinkles and maybe not even any tendencies that you got with this guy?
Yeah, you definitely emphasize the last couple of weeks with a new coach, and so what that tape looks like on the personnel side. This is the same personnel, so you're going all the way back in your background of what those guys have looked like for 5 games now, even back in the offseason, some of their transfers, the previous spots they've been at. So personnel-wise, I think you get a larger body of work, the actual schematics, the last couple of weeks.
And kind of going back to some of the things you mentioned about the offensive line, when you did watch the tape back, like where did you see maybe the leaks coming from, and how do you kind of fix them? Like, how much did you and Jim talk about that over the last 48 hours or so?
Yeah. I mean, in protection, I think recurring some of the edges we played at, so the squeeze of the pocket, the edge of the thing wasn't firm enough up front at times. Along with protection, the launch point of the quarterback needs to continue to be consistent, right? So if I play O-line, anticipation of where this guy's going to be at is at 7.5 directly behind the center, 9, those things. We got to be exact 2 at quarterback, but we were on too many edges in protection.
And I know you learned about this probably after the game on Saturday, but what was your reaction when you learned that UCLA beat Penn State, given knowing that They were 0-4, and Penn State was ranked in the top 10.
Yeah, before I watched the tape, it's like, well, you know, they had some new life to them. And then you think about the long travel, you think about Penn State more a little bit going across after a big emotional game the week before. Then you put on the tape and watch this game, galvanized, new energy, aggressive. I'm talking about UCLA now, attacking, really in all three phases. They come out, first opening drive, go punch the thing in, then kick off, they gamble, steal a possession right there of like, they were a brand new team.
Hey, Jonathan, sort of going off what Chris was asking, I'm wondering, do you notice any differences in UCLA, big or small, between the first three or whatever, and then last week with a different staff, different play caller?
You know, I don't know if it's dramatically different, but you look at the quarterback and how he hurt them with his legs, the ability to run. I know he's one of their leading rushers, but that part stood out, how he ran with the ball and really willingly made some plays for that offense. They were much efficient moving the ball against a really good defense. That stood out. Maybe in comparison to the week 1 and week 2, you look at their finish, even just the point total, right? The previous week, Northwestern, versus how many points they scored this last week. I mean, that jumps off the page.
Also curious where your outlook is with Nakai and Ade, just starters that missed last week.
I'm sorry, say it again with Nakai.
Nakai and Ade Willie, your outlook on how
Yeah,
they're
I think
looking.
both those guys have the potential for this weekend, finishing a protocol with one of them, but by the end of the week, we'll know. So right now, day to day.
You mentioned after the game on offense, unable to answer there in the fourth quarter. You talked about the troubles in the fourth quarter. When you look back at those 3 possessions, 3 and out, 4 and out, there's a 3rd and 4 downfield incompletion, like a 2nd down swing pass that went negatively.
Yeah, that was, yeah.
What do you look, when you compartmentalize those 3 or 4 possessions, what did you see there?
I think, you think a little bit of the execution. I say this term coaches use all the time, the execution in those moments where it was lacking. The field position wasn't great. I'm thinking about the possession on the 9-yard line. 2nd down, we throw the swing route. Almost we threw the swing route as if it was hot. In the protection, we actually picked that up, but the crowd noise, I don't think we're on the same page. And there's quarterback O-line. O-line picks it up. Aiden thinks it's got to come out a little bit sooner. The swing route almost thrown it like a screen. Where's cover 2 by those guys that make the tackle for loss? Like that's a lack of execution on both fronts. Again, I go back to those moments where it's still, there's no panic. The game is in the balance of finding not staying away from the 3rd and long that we faced the whole night, and that showed up in the fourth quarter.
And Aiden, were his eyes in the right? Was he making good choices on some of those, like the 3rd and 4 and so forth?
A couple of them he'd love to have back. Again, it goes back to whether they protected you well the previous snap. Does not matter. You go back to this trust idea. And we hammered, and this isn't specific just to Aiden, the whole group in regarding to trust each other, to doing their job so I can do my job, and focused on exactly what that individual needs to do. Quarterback, O-line, route runner, defensive end, post safety, play caller, all of us trusting the others to do their job.
Jonathan, I think it was 12 negative yardage plays. Is it possible to win a game at this level when you have that? And other than block better, it seems like that was pretty much a complete team.
You're talking about us offensively.
Yeah,
Because we got in the backfield. Yeah, it's hard to go backwards. And that's why it's not one, what you're asking the player to do schematically, and also is there a better answer of doing positive plays? You think about the situations we put them in. And so whether that's play calling, movement, identification on the road, executing it so you're not fighting the sticks as much. Because the sack thing showed up and some negative runs, that was a problem.
And TV focused on the blow up with Aiden and Nick on the sideline. Is it as simple as a team saying, we're not going to let 6 get the ball, and when that happens, if you've got a weapon like that, how do you get it to them anyway?
Mm-hmm. In regards to the conversation, those two, I'll describe it as during the game. I wasn't aware of it, learned it a bit after. I do think you're talking about a couple of guys that this means a lot to them and are pretty competitive. Those guys love each other and all of that. I do think Nick's a really good player, finding ways to continue to see his rep count of touches goes up, but he's not alone there. I look at Amari Kelly, been a really good player I think we targeted him one, and so that was discussed heavily yesterday, and we're hoping it looks a little different on Saturday.
Jonathan, you get your first noon game as the coach here. Was there a little bit of, you know, back-to-back weeks on the road, you get a little sense of normalcy with a noon game back at home, and then how, you mentioned UCLA and Penn State having to go that way. Now they got to come your way and play 9 a.m. basically their time. You know, how does that factor into the way you look at the game?
We're definitely looking forward to a noon kickoff back at home, homecoming in front of our fan base, the passionate fan base that we have. So we're excited about that. Again, I can't speak totally for UCLA, but watching them off the tape on Saturday, I think they're going to be excited to play whatever time we're kicking off.
When you were out west, did you ever play noon out east in your recollection?
I don't, nothing jumping right to me. I'm staring back at DVDs, been with me the whole time. I don't think so.
Okay. It seemed like there were a lot of passes deep into difficult wind on Saturday, or at least downfield. Is that like, does a game plan get adjusted when you see the conditions like that from what it might have been? And when you kind of look back at that and sort of the approach and some trying to connect there, do you wish there'd been a little more underneath, or just a different way about things?
We can't just completely say, no, we're not going to try it, because we actually tried it both ways. With the wind, cut a couple overthrows, and our splits weren't great, tight spacing, this and that, vice versa. I think there was a couple of throws that were going into it that were affected, that we need to drive that more and all that. So it played a factor, but I was not going to say just completely zero. We're going to try a couple of those. I think it goes back to, you know, hindsight, it's easy to do, but hindsight, instead of handing the ball off for a loss of -1, can we throw a quick screen or something to that extent, thinking about the factor of the win, hindsight 2020.
Jonathan, wondering what you thought of Alessio in his first real, you know, sort of extended game action. Obviously, early is in the fire there, and then late he gets a good series. Just what you thought of him coming out of it when you got to take a look at it?
Yeah, so there's just some silver linings all the time. You know, you get some frustrations when you lose games. I did think he stepped up in a big moment, especially early on. Aiden takes a pretty good hit and needs to come off. Alessio comes in and executed. It was great to see. We've had a lot of confidence in Alessio, and I was glad for him, because when he's had some small amount of time in the game, it hadn't gone his way. And then even that last drive, I think that stuff's important. He goes in, he executes, gets us another touchdown drive. So we were pleased for him, and he's been working really hard to have that kind of success. Thanks, guys.